Today's objective is I can simplify algebraic expressions by combining like terms. And we're actually going to relate this back to what we learned when we were adding and subtracting signed numbers. Terms in an expression are like terms if they have identical variable parts. We can combine terms that are alike, and we're going to use our rules for adding and subtracting signed numbers to actually do that. So let's look at some like terms. 2x and 4x are like terms. So if we had something like 2x plus 4x, those are terms. As soon as you hit a plus or minus sign, you've hit a new term. So 2x is the first term, 4x is the second term. Those are like terms. And if you have 2 x's, 4 more x's, you actually have 6 x's. Another example of some like terms are 2y and minus 4y. So if we wanted to combine those, 2y plus negative 4y, first of all, we know from our integer unit, double signs to a single sign. So that's 2y minus 4y. We're going to use our same rules. Circle the sign that goes with the number. Are those signs the same or are those signs different? Those signs are different. We'll find the difference. Keep what we have more of. All right, signs are different. We're finding the difference. The difference between 4 and 2 is 2. What do we have more of? Well, we have 2 positives and we have 4 negatives. Oh goodness, we definitely have more negatives. How many more negatives? We have 2 extra negatives. So that's why that's a negative 2y. On the next few screens, I'm going to show you some visuals that will hopefully solidify this. But by the end of today's presentation, today's lesson, we're going to just be using our rules for addition and subtraction of signed numbers. All right, simplify means to combine like terms, to add or subtract like terms. So if we look here, I'm just giving you a visual. The x's are represented by these green rectangles. So in this case, we have 2 x's plus 2 more x's plus 3 more x's. How many x's do we have total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 x's total. Now, if we think about our rules for signed numbers, circle the sign that goes with the number. Now I'm going to circle it that goes with the entire term. There's a term, there's a term. There's 3 terms here we're adding. Are the signs the same or are those signs different? Hey, the signs are all the same. We'll find the sum. What's the sum of 2 and 2? 4. What's the sum of 4 and 3? 7. So now we're up to 7x. Same, this is just a throwback to our adding and subtracting signed numbers unit. Simplify means to combine like terms to add or subtract. So in this case, I'm actually going to look at some subtracting. So if I have 2x, 2 more x, this is just a visual, and then I'm subtracting away 3 x's. So if I'm going to subtract away 3 of those x's, bye-bye x, bye-bye x, bye-bye x. How many x's am I left with? I'm left with 1 x. And that's a visual. However, we can just use our rules for signed numbers. I'm going to start with our first 2. Circle the sign that goes with the number. These are like terms because they each involve an x, so we can combine them. In this case, signs are the same. We'll find the sum. Sum of 2 and 2 is 4. That gives us 4x. Then I still have to bring down my minus 3x. Again, like terms, they both have an x. Circle the sign that goes with the number. Are those signs the same or are those signs different? Those signs are different. I'll find the difference. What's the difference between 4 and 3? 1. What do I have more of? Well, I have 4 positives. I only have 3 negatives. So what do I have more of? Oh, goodness, I definitely have more positives. How many more positive? 1 more positive. 1 positive what? 1 positive x. Simplify the following expression. So we have 4x plus 2 plus x plus 1. So up to this point, we know our x's are represented by these green rectangles. Hey, what we're going to do for our constants, we're just going to go ahead and represent those by these little yellow squares, okay? Because 4x and x are like terms. The 4x and the x are like terms. That's why here in the visual, those are your green rectangles. And then 2 plus 1, those constants are also like terms with each other. That's why those are little yellow squares. So let's see, what we want to think about is how many x's do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's. Okay, and how many constants do we have? 1, 2, 3. Our constants total 3. So that's why our final answer is 5x plus 3. Now, some of you might be saying, well, why can't I shove those together? Why can't I make that like 8x or just 8? You can't be shoving those together because those are not like terms. You can't combine them. The x's are represented by these rectangles, and the constant is represented by those yellow squares. So your final answer there is 5x plus 3. You cannot put those together. Those are not like terms. That's the final answer. That's how much we have. Let's try another one. 4x plus 2 minus x minus 1. So we have 4x plus 2. Hey, I better have 2. Oh, phew, I do. Okay. So our x's are represented here. 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. And then we have our positive 2 here. We have those 2 yellow squares. And now we're going to take some stuff away. We're going to take away an x. Bye-bye, x. And then we're going to take away one of those squares. And so what am I left with? If I started with 4x and I took away an x, hey, I'm left with 3x. If I started with 2, but I took one of those away, what am I left with? I'm left with 1. So how much do I have here? I have 3x plus 1. And I just want to show you quick, we could also have just used our rules for adding and subtracting signed numbers. So let's combine like terms. Circle the sign that goes with the number. So that's a positive 4x. That's a minus x. Now, hey, if you see this minus x, that means minus 1x, right? If you don't see a coefficient in front of that x, we assume it's a 1. So if we have 4x minus 1x, those signs are different. I'll find the difference. What's the difference between 4 and 1? The difference is 3. What do I have more of? I have 4 positives, only 1 negative. I definitely have more positives. So that's positive 3, and you need to make sure you remember to keep that x. Now here, if I'm going to combine my constants, so I have positive 2, and then I have minus 1. Remember, we're going to circle the sign that goes with the number. Are those signs the same, or are those signs different? Those signs are different. I'll find the difference. Keep what I have more of. What's the difference between 2 and 1? 1. What do I have more of? Well, I have 2 positives and only 1 negative. I definitely have more positives. That's why that's a positive 1. And you'll remember, that's our final answer, because these are not like terms. 3x and the plus 1, those are not like terms. Therefore, we cannot combine them. That is the final answer. Sometimes when I ask to simplify, students want to shove it together. You cannot shove it together because those are not like terms. Hopefully that just gives you a quick overview or a reminder, maybe even from 6th grade, on how to combine like terms. Take care.